a lot of small businesses complain about, oh, if the minimum wage goes up, they can't afford to pay their people, or they're complaining that the government is giving too many people too much money. Through that extra $300 that's due to expire in September, stop giving it to those people because we need those people to come and work for us. And if you are giving them what's equivalent to a minimum living wage, we can't afford them. We can't afford them to work for less than minimum wage. And you have to ask yourself, is that fair? Is that fair? It's not fair, of course. And, you know, Stephanie Ruhle said something that you've heard me say several times. And let me give a good example using myself as an example. I had a software company, and one of the reasons, and it was a very successful software company. Boeing used my stuff. NASA, everybody uses my stuff. But I told you guys a story of the reason why I went into activism. It was my passion. It was something that I wanted to do. It was altruistic, but not completely altruistic. At the time, my website could take care of me after I got rid of all my expenses. Of course, when Facebook and YouTube cut the advertising by 90%, we lost 90% of our income. Henceforth, we started doing things like how we try to raise money now via our subscriptions to YouTube and subscriptions to Patreon. But people always ask things like, why don't you hire somebody to do X, Y, and Z for you or whatever? And the reason why is I preach all of the times, living wage, minimum wage, and most jobs shouldn't even be minimum wage. And right now, I can't afford to pay somebody for the level of work that I want them to earn. There are a lot of people say, I want to volunteer, and I do take some volunteering. I mean, a lot of people volunteer. We've had Bridge MCP volunteer. She designed the cups for nothing. She helps out by answering stuff in the room, all that kind of stuff. She volunteers to do that. Norman is helping me fix a fence right now that is completely out of whack. He's also did the voiceover for one of my books. We have a lot of supporters here. Roberto Lewis has purchased everything, not because he needed it, just because he wanted to show support for politics done right. And we have Bruce Pollard, who was the editor of my latest book. I mean, so we have a lot of people that volunteer to do things like that. But when it comes to talking about hiring people, I am not viable to hire people for what they're worth right now. So I don't. It's irresponsible for me to ask somebody to do a job that they can go out, that they should be able to go out there and make several $1,000s doing, and say, okay, I'll give you $15 an hour or even $12 an hour because you're looking for a job. I think it is unethical. I think it is immoral. So I work my 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, because until I can break that cycle, I don't have a viable business to be able to hire others. But a lot of small businesses don't think that way. They think that what they ought to do is they have to live good. They'll make most of the money and then give the pittance to those who work for them, those who are doing very important work. It is immoral. And that's why I don't do it. There are a lot of, a couple of college folks says, I'll come and do this for you. I can't get a job elsewhere right now. I'll do it for you. Just give me $12. No, it's not that. I'll rather donate some money to you and then later on you may surprise me and do something for me. But not that I'm giving you a payment for that. That's not a viable business. Now listen to Stephanie Ruhle. I think it is wonderful because what Stephanie Ruhle says is what every small business must learn. Not because you have a business mean you are entitled to employees working as your slaves. And I say it that way because if you want to pay somebody for what they're worth and you're not willing to do so, there is a problem. Check out Stephanie Ruhle.
Some powerful words there from the president, saying that America is born out of an idea and thanking those who made the choice to come to this country enriching it. I do want to go back to our panel that has been patiently waiting for us and bring back in Stephanie Ruhle. Stephanie, you did hear the president there talk a little bit about the road to economic recovery, build back better, his phrase, obviously, from the campaign trail, talking about the importance of immigration. But I do want to play for you something he said earlier today when he was talking about one of the key impacts the pandemic has had on the economy. Take a listen to this.
Instead of workers competing with each other for jobs that are scarce, employers are competing with each other to attract workers. That kind of competition in the market doesn't just give workers more ability to earn higher wages, it also gives them the power to demand to be treated with dignity and respect in the workplace. More jobs, better wages. That's a good combination.
So the president, Stephanie, called this flipping the script. What does this dynamic mean for the economy in the long term?
Listen, the president isn't wrong. For years and years, workers have not had any power. Employers had all the power. Now that's switching. And while we do hear from lots of businesses that say, I can't afford to pay my workers more, let's be honest, Eamon, if your business model is such that you cannot pay your employees a living wage, then newsflash, it is not a valued, functioning business model, and it's time to change that. And especially as you look at Fortune 500 companies, big businesses, they've had an extraordinary year. Look at the stock market. The gains shouldn't only be gotten by executives and shareholders. It's time to actually give back to workers. Trickle-down economics doesn't work, but we're in a scenario right now where if you lift the bottom, it could potentially mean everyone rises. Now, are there inflation concerns? Without a doubt. Things are getting more and more expensive. We know the Fed is concerned about it. The Treasury Department is concerned about it. They do have more levers to curb this, and they're not going to do anything major just yet because it is transitory, right? We just got back to everything being reopened. Imagine, it's like every business is trying to hire at the exact same time. So give it a few months. Wait until things reopen before you get completely panicked that inflation is taking everything over. For the time being, we're on a very good path. More money for workers, that's good news.
She's absolutely right. I mean, if you have a business and you expect for your business to survive because you can take advantage of somebody else, you have not got a viable business. Work it yourself. Work it yourself until you are able to pay somebody else what it's worth to help you. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.